we come on the part of the factors, which I explained, which are 4 things that actually can create the prostate enlargement, and you have to address all 4. So if any of these are present, those 4 have to be addressed, and then you will see a result, you'll see a difference. If you can't do one without doing the others, you can't do diet without handling stress, because stress directly affects the body. So you put a good diet, but the stress will undo it. It will just keep destroying. If you have alcohol and medications, that is also a problem. So with the help of nutrition, the help of a doctor that understands nutrition, you can improve your diet, handle the stress, and slowly get off medications and alcohol until you can get fully off. I do not advise you get off these things immediately. Getting off alcohol can create problems, withdrawal symptoms. Getting off medications also can create withdrawal symptoms. All these have to be done with a doctor who understands, who works with nutrition, who understands nutrition, or can work with a nutritionist and help you reduce that. You have to say, I want to be free of drugs, help me, and help me reduce the quantity until there's no need for that. So, what I said earlier, it's about hormones. So you've got hormone imbalances, and one of the hormones that is a problem is estrogen. When estrogen is dominating, that can create major problems, because estrogen is a growth hormone, and it actually aggravates and creates cancer. So this is the main thing that we're going to be working on, is the prevention of the body creating an estrogen dominance. So that will require that the liver, so you'll see I've done a little bit of a diagram here, the brain, the liver, the adrenal glands, the kidneys, the bladder, prostate, testes. So all these are interlinked. So when you're under stress, it overworks the adrenal glands. And the adrenal glands have got a very important role, which I'm going to explain how it works. Adrenal glands here's your kidneys, it's just above the kidneys here. And your liver, it's here as well. All right. So, the main important thing about the prostate is for that part is to actually for regulating the sex hormones and for sexual activity, and also for your sex life. Right. So that will be the direct problem that could affect that in a man. Especially when you get up to 50 years old and 60 years old, and this is creating a problem there, all these problems now start happening. So what happens is a man needs to have a steady and a level amount of testosterone. You can't have too much testosterone, and you can't have too little testosterone. You have to have a balanced amount of testosterone. So what is testosterone? It's a sex hormone. It regulates sex drive, and it also helps with bone mass, muscle mass, and strength. That's what gives men the strength, and because it helps to build muscle. And it also makes red blood cells and does the production of sperm, which is related to fertility. So testosterone is related to fertility, related to muscle, and regulates sex drive. Now, when there's too much of testosterone, too much is produced, what tends to happen with sports people or bodybuilders, they actually take extra testosterone, and this is the problem that happens. It raises the bad cholesterol, and it actually increases body hair, and it makes one become more aggressive, and actually makes one become infertile. So there's a problem there. And the other problem of taking testosterone over and above testosterone, which is made by the testes and actually some from the adrenals, 50% of the testes makes testosterone, and the adrenal glands makes 50% of testosterone, and I will explain how that works. Those who take testosterone injections, what happens is the testes become lazy, the adrenal glands become lazy. It's going to say, well, there is testosterone in the body, I don't need to manufacture. So it becomes lazy. So what happens later on, when you stop taking injections, testosterone levels go down, because now there's no more production, so there's a dependence now on external testosterone, so that's another problem. So you're going to create a problem and a new problem is going to happen. And as I explained, you'll get a low testosterone level. This is what happens with low testosterone. Below normal, one gets sad, depressed, low motivation, and gets erectile dysfunction. So too much testosterone, infertility; too little testosterone, erectile dysfunction. Fortunately, I will explain how you can reverse all of that to prevent all these, to prevent this imbalance. Now, stress. What stress does? Stress overworks the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands makes 50% of the testosterone. 50% is made. Under stress, it overworks that. So what the adrenal glands does, it uses up all the food to actually produce the stress hormones. Because the stress hormones is about fighting or running away. So it's called a fight or flight. So it produces those hormones as a priority. So when you're under stress, what makes the body respond to stress? In other words, why does the body feel now it has to make these stress hormones for fight and flight when maybe there's nothing to run away from, or maybe there's nothing to fight about? But the body is kicked in the stress mode. What kicks in the stress mode is when there's emotional conflict, when there's anger, constant anger, angry all the time, anxiety, worried about the future, what's going to happen in the future, imagining things that might never happen, that's anxiety. That triggers the stress hormones and overworks the adrenal glands. Fear, constant fear. Don't know what's going to happen. You get made to believe bad things are going to happen, so you're in fear. That's stress. If you think there's no future in your life, that also triggers the stress. If you're working in an environment where there's a threat, or at home there's a threat, husband is threatening you, do this or else, something will happen to you. There's a counter purpose, there's something you want to do, but you can't do it because something is opposing this. All these things actually trigger the stress hormones and you are in fight or flight mode. And what happens when fight or flight mode happens is, when this is constant, you can't sleep. You can't sleep peacefully because at night you should be sleeping relaxed. So stress hormones prevents you from being relaxed. So you have restless nights, restless sleeps, you wake up tired. So a whole host of problems happen with stress. So this is something that needs to be handled. You will not be able to remove stress out of your life. Stress will always be there, but it's how do you cope with it and how do you feed your body in such a way that the body actually is able to cope with the stress. And one thing to do is to feed the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands need certain very specific foods that it needs. It needs omega-3 foods, vitamin B5, C. I will explain to this a little bit later, but I'm just explaining. When this runs out, then you're going to have all these problems happen, and estrogen now starts dominating. Alcohol and medications causes liver damage. So when there's liver damage, estrogen levels go up, and estrogen is not controlled. It's not deactivated. When you eat certain foods, lots of carbs, lots of bread, pastas, and grains, that creates a lot of fat. But the fat means it creates a lot of sugar, because sugar is released from the carbohydrates. Insulin is released, creates fat. And more fat, more estrogen. So all these things. So we have to find ways of burning fat as well. So there's a diet that you do that will burn fat as well. So all these things have to be taken into account when when you've decided that you're going to get better. Now you've decided you want to get off medication, you want to get off alcohol, so that you can live a life free of pain and free of these irritations and frustrations. Okay, so this is how the hormones work. There's what is called a path. So the liver makes cholesterol, and when you add with cholesterol, so if you're taking statins now for blood pressure or removing your cholesterol, when you're dropping the cholesterol, there will be no production of testosterone. So only the testes will produce testosterone. So that creates a problem. So 50% of your body has got less testosterone, and estrogen can start dominating. So cholesterol with omega-3 oils, flaxseed oil or fish oils, with lecithin. Lecithin is a food. It's a oil-based food, which you get. Lecithin you can get from egg yolks. So eggs are one of the best proteins to eat. In the egg yolk, there is lecithin in there. It keeps the cholesterol in suspension. Or you get lecithin from wheat germ or fish eggs or even from liver. So that cholesterol produces DHEA, which is a hormone made by the adrenal gland. So cholesterol comes to the adrenal gland, and with these vitamins, minerals, it produces DHEA. DHEA is an anti-aging hormone, very important hormone, and it also inhibits cancer. So you can see now the importance of cholesterol. So when you're on statins and you're reducing the volume of cholesterol, you're going to have a problem. If the liver is damaged, you're going to have cholesterol problems as well. Cholesterol is not going to be produced. So you need to find ways to fix the liver. I have done a video especially for the liver, which explains how to restore the liver. And when you restore the liver, it produces cholesterol and you don't have the dangerous cholesterol being produced. And then from DHEA with vitamin B5, C, E, B complex, magnesium, tyrosine. Tyrosine is an amino acid which you need from proteins. So you have to eat proteins. Where you get proteins? From your eggs, from the meats, you get proteins. And it produces testosterone. Now, testosterone now can turn into estrogen and can turn into DHT. DHT is a hormone, is another form of testosterone hormone which is more potent than testosterone. Too much of DHT, that is a growth hormone, it enlarges the prostate, causes baldness, bald in the eye, and lots of body hair. So that's what happens when there is too much of DHT, because testosterone has turned into DHT. What turns it into DHT? There's an enzyme called 5-alpha reductase. It's an enzyme present there which converts it. So this is a problem. So now you need to find ways of blocking this enzyme, which I will explain a little bit later. How do you block this enzyme? When you block this enzyme, less DHT is produced, so then there will be no growth. So that's what you can do with diet. With diet, you stop the production of DHT so that it stops the growth. And another enzyme called aromatase, in the presence of aromatase, testosterone becomes estrogen, which is another growth hormone. So you've got these two hormones, which are, when present, is what produces the growth. So there's where the problem sits with the growth, is these two, and these enzymes there. So you need what we call here enzyme blockers. So you need to block this, and you need to block that. There's certain foods that you use that block these enzymes. And there's certain foods that actually stop the blocking as well. So I'm going to explain this as I go now. Now, another thing that's needed is that the prostate has got the largest concentration of zinc. So zinc is one very, very important called trace mineral, which has to be supplied all the time. You get it from your foods. I will tell you where you get zinc, from which foods you get zinc. Basically, you get zinc from oysters, you get zinc from crab meat, you get zinc from pumpkin seeds. So these are sources of zinc. So make sure you have lots of pumpkin seeds, because pumpkin seeds not only has zinc, but pumpkin seeds is also rich in omega-3. So you've got all these benefits that come out of zinc. So that's one of the probably most important parts, because that helps the functioning of the prostate. So you've got these hormones here, which affect the growth of the thing, but zinc is necessary for the production of sperm, for the production of semen, and for the health integrity of the prostate, so that you don't have that problem, that prostate blockage here in the urethra. So next, what I'm going to talk about now is about enzyme blockers. What are the foods that will block this enzyme? What supplements you need that will block these enzymes? So you can get supplements, and you can also get food. So the two work together. One or the other you can do, or both you can do. What are the foods for your adrenal glands? What foods you need to produce? What needs you need to make available for the adrenal glands? Because when you're under stress, there's the stress hormones, and you need more nutrients to make DHEA, to make testosterone. And then fat burning. What are the recommendations for fat burning? Because when you do fat burning, there's less fat, means less estrogen. So, and then I'm going to talk about cancer. What you can do about cancer, how to reverse cancer if there's cancer that has started there. And I've got some links as well, which I will provide on cancer, links on liver, and links on adrenal glands. So this is a little bit of study that you have to do, a little bit of personal study you have to do if you are really serious about changing the conditions that you faced and removing the dangers that could come with it. That one of the dangers is cancer, because cancer can be deadly. So you can you can interact there, you can get there before anything happens. So let's get on to the next one now, on the nutrition.